Hi, I'm Jos Hoebe, founder and creative director of the World War I game series.
I'm Pär from the band Sabaton, and we're currently sitting in one of the settings of the Sabaton History Channel.
I'm Indy Neidell. I'm a historian. I work with Pär on the Sabaton History Channel, and I've also been covering world wars in real time. I'm doing World War II right now, but for today's purposes, I was the writer and researcher and host of The Great War when we covered World War I 100 years later, week by week. And that's important for what we're doing today, right? So what are we doing today?
Exactly. Now, today we're discussing Isonzo, our exciting new upcoming shooter that takes place on the Italian front. We'll be talking about all of the details
What is the release date? When does it come out?
It's coming out on the September 13th.
And this is the third of your games about the First World War.
Exactly. So we first covered the Western Front with Verdun.
Yeah.
Where we really built the game around the trench warfare. And then we, in 2017, we shifted our focus to the Eastern Front with Tannenberg. We built a game around the maneuver warfare and the vast expanses of the Russian front. And now, in the last few years, we've been working on Isonzo, where we really try to create the Italian front and the mountain warfare that took place there.
It's also very cool to have to cover one of the, well, most of the fronts in the First World War are lesser known fronts beyond the Western Front or the Eastern Front or maybe Gallipoli. And it's definitely good. You have the trench warfare, the open spaces, and now you've got mountain war, right? Isonzo, of course, it's a river. And it was also the scene of 12 battles, the 12 battles of the Isonzo River in the First World War. Now you've done stuff, you guys have written songs involving, well, many about World War I, 2 albums, right?
2 albums and a couple of other songs that we have done in the past as well.
Including one about mountain war.
Including one about that, so which is called Soldier of Heaven. And it takes place on the Southern Front.
Now, for those of you who don't know Sabaton's music, their songs are all about some aspect of military history, going back 20 years. That's what they do. And their last 2 albums have both been thematic albums about the First World War.
All right, so we've been writing a lot of songs about First World War, and there was one song after we done the album The Great War that we really wanted to cover. That was the Christmas Truce. So when we did the Christmas Truce, that's when we got in touch because we wanted to do something something fun, an event out of putting more attention to the Christmas truce. And then we realized that you guys had already covered that quite well some years previous in your game Verdun. And we were discussing, could we potentially create a fan football game inside of your game?
Yeah, exactly. Going way back to our early access phase of the game, we sort of had a wild idea to sort of create a separate game mode in Verdun, where in between the matches you would stop fighting, and people would play a football match, and they could send Christmas cards to their loved ones, which are actually emails as well. You actually got an email you could send to your friends.
Cool.
And in game you could throw snowballs and hit each other, and you would freeze. It was sort of like a side moment. It was very nice for people during the Christmas period. What we also did is we cooperated with War Child on this in 2016, and we made a trailer about which became really popular as well. So it's really one of the highlights of what I did for the project, because it's such an emotional connection with the subject.
Yeah, And that's, I guess, when we started also, because you explained, well, when we started to talk about it, it's like, we are working on something. And then we had not yet revealed our new album, where we had the song Soldier of Heaven. And we were like, okay, it's taking place in the same place, so maybe we can find something together. And here we are today, all three of us.
Well, and I know you because of Verdun as well, because I first met you personally in Verdun when I was down there filming on location with the Great War crew. You guys were down there, and we had fan meetings together and a little crossover and stuff, and that was really cool. That worked great for both of our fan groups and stuff. But on the other side, I have a connection with you as well, right?
Yeah.
So how do we connect? How did we first meet?
So, you were running your series World War I in
The Great
week
War, yeah.
by week,
Yeah.
and you actually reached out to me
Yeah.
to invite me, and I was in Berlin for an award show, and you found out that, oh, he's in town.
Yeah,
So
we were filming at the time in Berlin. Yeah, and
so you invited me, and we were having a talk there, and then we explained like, hey, this specific format would be absolutely perfect for a Sabaton History Channel one day.
Yeah.
And it took a few years, and then we meet up again.
now you guys, you and Joachim, your singer, you already thought way back in like 2004, 2005, wouldn't it be great if there could be a TV channel that we could talk about the history behind all of our songs and all of our different things? And suddenly there was YouTube, and then suddenly there was a historian that likes your music and wanted to work with you on YouTube. So it's nice that the three of us, it's no strangers here.
And we also were in Verdun.
Yes, yeah, we met in Verdun too, actually. Yeah, you guys, that's where you had the release thing with all the journalists, and was that 2019? Yeah,
Yeah, for the Great War album.
Yeah, and then we were there on location with World War II, filming in Sedan along the Maginot Line. So we went to Verdun to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, the Verdun special was really nice. We could tour you around for Douaumont. So we just recreated the level, and we knew all the sort of the details.
Yeah,
of
but that was really
everything
cool.
Was,
And but the fog too made it so dramatic.
Yeah, it was really cold that day, and we were all freezing outside, and it was very moody, but very characteristic for the battlefield of the Western Front and Verdun.
Well, what people don't think about Verdun until they get there, they think, okay, well, it's like one little place. It's not. It's sprawling. There's all the forts and stuff. It's a bunch of areas. It's a bunch of different terrain. And now you're going to completely different terrain. You're going to the mountains on the Italian front, the Dolomites, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so we also have a big overlap in terms of fan base. You know, on every single YouTube or comments on Steam, etc. There's always Sabaton, Passchendaele. Sabaton made a song about this. There's a big overlap between what our
Fields of Verdun.
Yeah,
it's a catchy one.
Yeah, we have a lot of fantastic fans who often get involved, and who often make sure to point out that Sabaton has a song about it, and very often contribute to not only to us but to other people as well, and giving extra content to the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also people I'm playing Passchendaele while I'm blasting Sabaton Passchendaele. It's sort of as a soundtrack to the actual game they're playing.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, other than Soldier of Heaven, you don't have a whole bunch of songs about the Italian front, but nobody else does either.
That's true. So we all have different ways of doing the same kind of thing. I mean, we all have different, let's say, platforms and ways to tell history. I mean, Sabaton can only tell a little part in the little songs that we have, because we have only a little bit of lyrics to tell. You can tell in your channels a lot more, and you can give in depth with the visualization as well.
This is true. See, what we do when I cover like World War I or World War II now, and do it week by week in real time, it's not from any national standpoint or any battle-oriented standpoint. It is a holistic, global perspective, which is pretty new, and especially doing it chronologically in terms of history. But you guys don't offer strong opinions on things. You are storytellers.
Yes.
And that also leaves people, I mean, like, covering World War II, if I have to tell the audience, I have to say Hitler was a bad guy, if I have to come out and say that, I'm not doing my job properly. And you guys as well, because you guys have a real fine attention to the smaller details, which they're not going to get from their songs, which they're not going to get from my coverage. It's going to be more the active player.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, but the way we try to represent is also bringing responsibility. I mean, we all feel that. I mean, we represent the history, but we have to do justice by the events that happened and portray them in a sort of way and sort of neutral manner as well.
Sure.
So there's a
you could be both sides, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't try to pick sides. We represent the facts as detailed and as neutral as possible.
We get inspiration from a lot of different sources for writing our songs, but one of the most prominent sources of information and ideas is our fans, because they provide us with endless amounts of emails like, you should write a song about this and about that, and this gives us let's say a global perspective, which we wouldn't get if we were just looking for things, because both the internet and the history books works in a way that they talk about the history that's closer to you. They find it that way, and you don't really find the stuff that is written in a different language or that is far away from you. So thanks to our fans, we get a lot of ideas, and then we have to do a little bit of the research. But yeah, that's kind of where we get a lot of ideas. I assume you also take a lot of inspiration from your fans and from the players of the games.
Yeah, exactly. Because these subjects are so narrow and very niche. I mean, we're talking about uniform details, buttons, etc., special weapons. There's no general expert who can possibly know all the things about all the factions. So, I mean, if there's a reenactor from, say, Romania or whatever, and he knows, the exact color of a uniform, and that's not correct, he will tell us, and we can correct it. So,
but it's interesting that you talking about you get your comments. Our channels are also guided by commentary as well, because like if you watch like the Civil War or the Jazz Age or some documentary series like that, it might be great, but it's already finished, right? You can say, hey, my great-grandfather, he still has his notes and stuff from that and stuff. Well, that's not going to be part of that series. That series is done. But since we have a rolling, evolving thing for now doing 6 years of World War II week by week, a lot of people write in a lot of stuff, and we read every single comment. We're very clear that we answer every single comment that wants an answer. We answer that. And you can get so much from people's families and personal experiences, especially when something is, like they'll be like, oh, by the way, the 4th Battalion actually was about 10 kilometers west of there. I know that because I was in the 4th Battalion. So I'm like, oh, well, that's great to know things that you correct the inaccuracies. And it does make since it's a global, free, real-time, interactive documentary series. And I think that's important that we rely on our fan base to make a better product.
Yeah, and what's really important to me is that we do justice by the material that we represent and try to. I mean, we're in a way shaping the way people in the future will see the past. I mean, in the past there were the book writers. Obviously they're still there, but we as media on 3 different outlets are basically shaping the way people view the war and the events in their head. So that puts a responsibility on the shoulders, and I think we've done it in a proper manner.
I like to think so.
Yeah. So how do you guys think video games are a way to represent the history?
I think video games are a great way to represent history, particularly because a lot of people have it in their minds that learning history or watching history is boring and it's academic and it's dry, when it's not. It all depends who's doing the presenting and stuff. But you have an enormous segment of the global population that loves video games, that isn't interested in history, but you can teach them history through the video games. I think it's important to use instead of forcing your media on someone and saying you have to learn it this way, learn the way that the medium that they want to use. You know?
Yeah, it works absolutely great. I mean, it's very easy. You are just soaking in information while you're having fun, and that's like it's the easiest way of learning.
Yeah.
And you don't even think that you're picking up things, but you are actually doing it. And suddenly you know a lot about facts and a lot about, but that was that year or it happened here, and suddenly you are interested in maps and you realize that what kind of political changes happen because of this specific thing that happened in the game and that happened in the real time, and these people look like they do or talk like they do because of this that happened, and they are portrayed in the game. So I think that games are doing often a fantastic way of getting people. I mean, even if not everybody is like gonna follow up and go to channels like yours where it's like in depth, like digging or that, but a lot of people get a good overview of what's going on and what have been happening, and I think it's great.
The people that have played Verdun and Tannenberg now know what Verdun and Tannenberg were, if nothing else. That's a big deal already there, you know?
Exactly. That's also when people Google Verdun or Tannenberg or now Isonzo, they will come to the game and they will get educated.
Isonzo is a lot more obscure. The Italian front is a lot less known front. So that's going to be an eye-opener.
Yeah. We try to and we try to pull as much history as we can. I make it my personal goal as to pull as much history into all the features and content we put into the game. So be it the loading screen or other aspects, locations or objects or gameplay features that can possibly bring in unique things from the past. So it's not just we design a game sort of blank and then apply the history to it. There's really there's this cool thing from history, and then let's find the gameplay mechanic that will suit it. So it's really driven by the history is how we.
But even for me, for a historian, getting to get Isonzo and stuff, I'm like, great, it's Cadorna versus Konrad von Hotzendorf. I mean, come on, it's like it's Gorizia Thunderdome, man. This for me, that's like they're so incredibly incompetent, and you can't help but love them from the show because, I mean, other than me, Konrad von Hotzendorf was the most popular character on the Great War. I'm sure there's some people that say he was more popular than I was.
Who could forget Konrad von Hotzensocks, which is actually a Steam achievement.
We had Konrad von Hudson socks, and we had Cadorna socks too.
Oh God, the fan base will go nuts about that.
Oh, Macken socks. Wait, no, we didn't have Cadorna socks. We had Macken socks, and we had Ferdinand Foch socks. But those words like Cadorna has become used as a verb thanks to the Great War, because, like I said, there's 12 battles of the Isonzo, and Cadorna was the chief of staff, and the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. And results were slightly different, sure, but people started using Cadorna as a verb, like, oh, I totally Cadorna'd this, which means that I did exactly the same thing I did before and expected something different to happen, and of course it failed utterly. Which I think is cool that you can add new words into the lexicon just from your medium. Yeah,
and Cadorna and Hotzendorf also became memes within our own community. They it started to memify the images, and also when you look up Cadorna or Isonzo and memes, there's lots of material there.
Okay, I gotta look up Cadorna memes.
Cadorna memes are incredible.
That's what I'll do later this afternoon. One thing, there's a great quote about Konrad von Hotzendorf, by the way, was the chief of staff of the Austro-Hungarian army, and he was described as the worst kind of maniac, totally incompetent, but with endless energy. So, and that'll do it, you know.
Sounds like a good guy to lead.
Well, he actually did, before and during the war, he was fairly respected around Europe because he had written a bunch of military theory books and things that people thought, oh, these are quite good. And then the war started, and it didn't go so well for Austria. And he was a big part of he was a big war hawk. He had pushed dozens of times in the 2 years before the Great War actually broke out, for Austria-Hungary to go to war. He envisioned them not only taking the entire Balkans, but going into the Middle East, having an Austro-Hungarian empire that stretched, bigger and bigger. When instead, he just was part of its destruction. Ooh. But why don't you tell us about the game itself? Because that's why people are watching, yeah? So how is it similar? How is it different from what you've done before?
Yeah, so with Verdun, we really focused on the trench warfare on the Western Front, really small and close-range trench engagements, going back and forth. For Tannenberg, the maneuver warfare, which is a lot more open and wide-scaled. And for Isonzo really focused on the mountain warfare of the Italian front. So all the battles have some element of verticality in it. It's always you're either fighting up a very steep mountain, such as the Dolomites, or on the Carso in a sort of a rocky hellscape.
Or in Gorizia.
Or Gorizia, the great city that was, of course, conquered in the Sixth Battle.
Yep.
So
as we all know, as any schoolboy knows, in the Sixth Battle of the Isonzo, the Italians managed to take Gorizia and had cracked open the doorway to Vienna, and then the Duke of Aosta waited for 3 days so his white horse could be brought in so he could have the victory parade. And during those 3 days, the Austro-Hungarian army reinforced, and the door was closed.
Oh.
I mean.
Yeah, yep. These generals. So we talked about Cadorna, but this is another one of those figures.
People have their, but the gameplay, though, in terms of the combat system and stuff, for people that are familiar with Verdun and Tannenberg, what can they expect from Isonzo? Yeah,
so this time we sort of doubled down on the history and the accuracy of the gameplay. Yeah. So we really wanted players to experience a more cinematic and experience of going over the top and then having to cut the wire while being under fire from machine guns. So there's really this phased attack while you go through a series of objectives. So say Monte Sabatino, where you start off with heaps of barbed wire you have to go through, capture some bunkers, also Hungarian bunkers on the hill, fight your way across the crest, across several sectors, and then up to the bridge and into a village. So you cross Isonzo. So it's really an experience you go through as you.
When we were playing earlier today, and Pär was playing, I was just kibitzing. But I loved some of the features that some things that were awesome, like being an officer and being able to use flare guns to call in bombs or to call in some artillery. A creeping barrage, you can choose a creeping barrage, and that was really cool.
Quite a lot of things you could call in, actually.
Yeah, it was like 8, I can't remember, 18 or 15 or how many different things you could call in. I can picture. Yeah. There's the gas grenades, there's the creeping barrage, there's the bombing thing. That was really cool.
Yeah, so this is another one of those features where we saw history, we saw how they used flare guns historically. So there's a whole handbook written by the British about how to interpret different flare signals. So two red flares means we've secured this position. 3 red flares send in the troops, etc. So we distilled that historical fact into the game. So when you were playing earlier, you were firing flare guns. When you fire 2 flare guns, you sort of get a bigger effect. Yeah. And then as an officer, you can fire the flare guns. You have to physically fire the flare guns over a target, so you cannot fire it on the ground or something. The guys in the rear.
So they have to spot it.
Exactly. They have to see it.
But it was cool with the different classes too. I mean, you were playing first a rifleman, and then you were playing an officer. Tell us about the different classes. We were playing Italian, but I mean, because flip a coin, be either you like. But tell us about the different classes that you did.
Yeah. So there are 6 classes. So coming from Verdun, we decided to make the class system more streamlined and simplified. So we boiled it down to 6 classes. I mean, officers, 1 rifleman, obviously.
RDT, Alpini,
yeah,
which is cool, which is very cool that you get that.
Exactly. There's an engineer, so we have a build system where you can build bar and repair barbed wire. So we talked about barbed wire before. Not only can you cut it, but you can also, the defenders can repair it in the meanwhile. So if the attack has been repelled, they can come back and repair the wire. So
we should play engineers. We should play engineers. That'd be fun.
Next time.
Next time. Okay. Yeah. And what about the Austro-Hungarian classes?
So the classes are in a way symmetrical. On their side, of course, you got the stormtrooper. They get grenades. They have a trench.
Like trench knives.
What's it? Trench club.
Oh yeah, okay.
Very famously used on the Monte San Michele after the gas attack. They sort of came in and.
Monte San Michele is in there too. That's cool. That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the classes, they're all based on the historical units that fought. So on the Italian side again, the Bersaglieri is the sniper class. So they obviously have their characteristic appearance, but the sniper class in general, it's limited. So only a handful of players can play as a sniper.
Okay.
Same goes for the officer and all the other classes. They're limited to certainly only 2 players can play officer. So everybody uses flare guns or everybody uses snipers.
Well, how large are the missions then in terms of people total, or maximum?
Yeah, it's 48 players total. So our game is really, and this is the core DNA of the series. What makes World War I series games, Verdun and Tannenberg, unique is that they have a very focused and concentrated gameplay on a very narrow strip of the front. And you always spawn within 150 meters of the enemy, and you're directly in the action. And that's
well, if you get too far away from the action, you can be a deserter.
We know that.
We know that.
We realized that. I was a little bit too. I was a little too good to the game, so I ran a little bit ahead of the other guys, and then
that's which means that there had to be somebody with you.
But there was nobody.
There's nobody that you had like a commissar. They borrowed it from the Soviet Union in the Second World War. You had like Khrushchev with you.
Actually, they had blocking detachments, sort of, in the famous Carabinieri, the military police.
They did? Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
After Caporetto was a big. Their retreat was just a big chaos, and then people were just straggling. Some people even went home to their mothers. Again, just they walked home. So Cadorna, obviously, with this decimation. Big fear of the sort of desertion.
You don't need to say too much more about Cadorna. I could talk a lot about Cadorna.
Let's pivot back to classes thing. And so the class system, you need the 6 classes: engineer, sniper, rifleman, assault,
marksman, officer.
Yeah, exactly. So again, all limited to such that there's a balance between the different roles. Not everybody can play a sniper or an engineer or an assault. In addition, we have limited the weapons as well to historical numbers. Not everybody can walk around with the sniper. So if you're a marksman, there can only be 1 sniper at the same time.
Right.
On one team, because. As you experienced earlier, this map, especially in the Dolomites, is very extensive and long. Sniper, if you're on far away, you're overpowered almost.
You took out that machine gun pretty good, though. Yeah, it was my advice. Go around to the left.
Around
my
him,
advice
because he was pinning me down, and then go around him, and I got around him, and I stabbed him in the back.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah, with the experience you just had. Actually, the way you sort of flanked is also unique for the Italian front, in that the verticality allows for different ways of approaching the enemy machine gun. You were struck by a machine gun, for instance, but there were rocks in the way of his viewpoint. Especially, you think if you have the high ground, you always are better off, but typically what you would find if you look down and there's a rock crevice,
Yeah.
you can hide behind the different crevices, so that, or you're under somebody's field of view, so he cannot physically see you because the slope is so steep. So it's not always the case that the verticality offers the one on the high ground
Right, sure.
the advantage, because there's lots of ways to sneak around the mountains.
No, it was very cool. I mean, I've been, as you know, I've been up. We did some on-location filming in the Dolomites, and it's amazing actually being there, because they are fighting at 10,000 feet, like 3,000 meters, and even out like where there are people going and tourists and stuff all the time. Up there, you still find like bits of shrapnel grenades. You can still oh look there, it's still on the ground out there, and you're in, it was mid-September and it's freezing point. So imagine what it's like in January, February, and they bring like howitzers and artillery cannons, like hoist them up the mountain to have the mountain fighting. It's a completely different experience from any of the other fronts in this war. You see like Col de Sangue and stuff. Yeah, these names really inspire awe.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even just getting up there is. I mean, even as a tourist, even on the most relaxed day, getting up there is already a challenge. Imagine getting lots of troops up there. It's
and the passes are closed a lot of the year. You can't get from point A to point B, and you get a bunch of that from Soldier of Heaven, the almost religious experience people have for being alone. If you might be at your post, you might be alone 6 months of the year manning your post and stuff, alone at 10,000 feet and stuff. That's people should definitely check out that song when they're going to play Isonzo, so they get an idea of the experience of the Italian front, and the episode that we did on Sabaton History channel on YouTube.
So you guys, you played this morning. What did you think about the accuracy of the game?
No, I'm impressed by the detail you put into it, and especially all the little details that you put into it.
Well, you guys have a well-deserved reputation for being a very accurate game. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that a completely 100% historically accurate World War I game would have 98% of the time be waiting between things and being training and being bored and getting there and then getting killed in the first 10 minutes, and then you have to go through another 3 months of training when you spawn again. So but in terms of the actual combat and stuff, I think I have no issue with it. I know that both your fans and my fans, they have such a painful attention to the level of detail that you can't wimp out on it. You can't just go, oh, this is good enough. You can't. So, but yeah, I think you guys have done a fantastic job with the accuracy. And I really like that you did the 6th battle, that you did Gorizia. I think that's really cool. I thought, it'd be so obvious to do, we're going to do Caporetto, we're going to do Vittorio Veneto, but Gorizia, that was cool.
Yeah, we actually doubled down on the accuracy in Isonzo versus the other games as well. So if you talk about locations, we now actually make the locations one-on-one versus the geodata. So talk about the 6th battle. We have Monte Sabatino, Monte San Michele, and the city of Gorizia and Monte Calvario. They're all based on how they were in real life. So
100 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, especially for the Carso, which is the Carso Monte San Michele was difficult because of that.
There. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That landscape doesn't exist anymore in its current form. So it's all eaten by sheep.
What is it now? What's the Carso look like now?
It's a forest. It's like Verdun. Verdun used to be empty farm fields as well.
Yeah, but now Verdun's all like blasted apart. Still the hills and everything. Which is all green. It's all green and grown over and stuff. But,
exactly. But they replanted the forest after the war. It's now eaten by bugs again, but that's another story. But they replanted and they did the same on the Carso. It's now completely overgrown. So if you go there, you see the little tunnel entrances. And we were actually on location 2 years ago. We had a little guide and tour of the area. But yeah, it looks totally different now because some of the commanding positions are no longer commanding because you cannot see.
I think I only know what the Carso looked like during the Great War. I don't know what it looks like now.
So the car show was an interesting challenge, of course, but we not only have the 6 battle, but we also do in the Trentino. There's the Straf expedition.
Yeah. Well, and that was a good choice, because you can be Austria-Hungary and you can win this, right?
Yeah.
Because when I was covering it in 1918 or 2018, and when I'm like, oh, it's Conrad's punishment expedition. This is not going to go well. you just know it's not going to go well. But that I haven't played that. That's what I should play next. Is the punishment expedition, and I should be the Austrians this time just to see if I can do it.
You can win.
So,
Yeah, but these locations are of course also very different from the Carso. Carso is more, it's almost desert-like, but then in Trentino it's all lush and green, and it's on the Asiago Plateau. It's it's way different landscapes. For Montefiore, which is one of the locations, there's these unique limestone formations. They look surreal, and if you were to see a screenshot, you would think it's an odd-looking game. But those things are actual. They're there for real.
Oh, really cool.
We visited that area as well, and there's and then of course we have a location on the peaks. We had to pick one of the epic battles that took place in the high mountains, because we cannot make a game about the Italian front without picking a location in the high mountains.
Right.
Even though the combat there was stalemate for the most time and done by small amounts of troops, typically a raid party of 100, 200 men, 300 maybe. So we had to pick one of those, and we really wanted to pick something that's in the high Alps. So really something that has stunning views. You see the Dolomite rocks, and you have to fight up a steep hill. So we found a location that's the Sasso di Sesto.
Yeah.
You can visit it today if you ever get the chance to visit that region. It's definitely
it's breathtaking there. It's absolutely unique. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's also what we wanted to do is really represent the colors and the vibrancy of when you're there. When you see it of picture, it doesn't really do justice. When you're there, it's sort of burning your retina out in terms of intensity of color, especially in the summer. All of the battles takes place during the summer, not just there, but also in the other maps. We really wanted to contrast this game with the other titles in the series. Which were drab and desaturated. These are more saturated, but that creates an interesting contrast between the sort of grim reality of the combat, but then also the stunning environment. So you have this odd combination of
there's the dichotomy there.
Yeah, exactly. There's also we've also added a variety of unique weapons in the game. So the Italians had.
I like the fuse. Yeah, it was, the little light artillery and stuff. That was great. That was really nice touch.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Batica mortar, which fires. It's basically just an upgraded. Well, I would say it's not a firecracker, but it's just.
It still kill someone.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's. I wonder if in reality it would kill the operator also a lot of the times. It's such a ramshackle thing that was built. It's just a wooden plank with a sort of a thing you put the rod on.
It's like a giant bottle rocket, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they improvised it because they not only used it to shell, but also it was sort of a way to blast the wire away. So it was kind of improvised.
Yeah, sure.
On the Austrian side, they also have sort of a unique, clunky way of doing their mortar. It's sort of a breech-loaded mortar, the M14, which is a normal mortars. You put one in the top, in the Stokes mortars, and the German Miniwerfers all work like that from the top of these. From the Austrian, it's sort of a rear-fired. Breech-loaded mortar thing. Also wasn't too reliable as far as I know. There's more unique weapons also for the Italians. The famous Villa Parosa, which they took from the aircraft. You got to play with it a bit.
Where you needed to lie down to have the full effect.
Exactly. Yeah. Because
that was cool. Otherwise, you got sure.
Yeah, because you fired with your both thumbs, because it came from an aircraft gun. You have to sit in a static position. You can use 2 thumbs to fire each barrel individually.
Yeah.
But then if you lay down, or if you're standing up, you obviously have the one hand to support the rifle. You can use only one hand to fire, so you only fire one barrel. So if you reload, you only do one stick. If you were to lay down, you can of course use both thumbs to fire both the barrels at the same time. So there's a...
Hey, here's an interesting little World War I Austrian weaponry thing. Wittgenstein, the philosopher, he was also one of the richest men in Europe, thanks to his father. And he was also an Austro-Hungarian patriot. So when the war broke out, he spent 1 million marks to buy a howitzer for the Austro-Hungarian army. If you do expansion packs for this, you should definitely get Wittgenstein's howitzer in there. Okay, you can cut that out. I think that's really that's quite a weird little anecdote, you know.
It's a good DLC idea.
You have to be a high level to get Wittgenstein's howitzer. It's a special howitzer, you know.
It's like a special secret maybe a dev cheat. You can just use that.
Ooh, yeah.
Call in the Wittgenstein mortar.
The Wittgenstein mortar.
It's the 19th call in.
But that's when I read that, I'm like, man, those are expensive. So, you know. Yeah, that's a pricey howitzer.
And normally they build in some serial, you know, that doesn't really have a cost, but you know, when you gotta.
Yeah, but if you buy one privately, you know, you're not the army. You know, I'm privately buying a howitzer. Well, that's going to cost you, sir. So, you guys have.
The question is, can you? Should somebody privately be able to buy a howitzer?
No, I don't think so. But I think he paid for it to be built and delivered to the army. It wasn't he didn't use it or anything. Yeah, I don't think you should privately be able to buy a howitzer, unless by you mean me. In which case, I should totally be able to buy a howitzer.
You can,
right? Yeah.
It might be nice if you're able to fire it somewhere. It's just for fun, like with like 4th of July, or you just let's fire it up the mortar.
Let's go out in the archipelago and fire it. Yeah. Like set it off.
Yeah, neighbors be very impressed.
Now, do you guys have any World War I not functioning but big weaponry and stuff? Have people given you stuff from that?
No, I mean when we are traveling around, we get a lot of gifts. We get a lot of gifts, mainly in forms of books and small trinkets. But weapons is of course a difficult thing to give to somebody because. Yeah. There are rules concerning those. Even if they are 100 years old, they are still considered a weapon. I mean, most of them can still be fired or
fixed.
Or fixed to be able to fire. And many countries do apply this rule that if something was once operating as a weapon, no matter what you have done with it, is still considered a weapon.
Okay.
So even if you have taken away vital parts of it, it's still considered a weapon.
Right.
And this makes it very difficult to travel with weapons over borders, because obviously if some country would allow you, yes, in this country it's okay, this pistol is 100 years old and it hasn't been shot for 100 years, and it cannot be shot by any means because somebody melted the whole mechanism, but you bring it to, for example, Sweden. Sweden will still consider that a weapon. Oh. And obviously bringing in weapons into countries will result in bad results.
No, but you know who I know did not used to, at a specific time, consider certain weapons were the Czechs. Because in 1993, 93 or 94, well, I lived in Prague in 93, 94, and Spiral Tribe came through, the rave organization that had been banned from a lot of countries in Western Europe. So they come and have these 5-day raves outside of Prague or wherever in the countryside. And they had gotten, in Germany, an old, totally unfunctional and broken up MiG fighter jet, right? And they turned it into a sound system. The DJ was in the cockpit, which is really cool, actually, and the speakers on the wings and stuff. So they're crossing the border into the Czech Republic, and when the border guy asked, "Where did you get that?" foolishly, or so they thought, the guy said, "Oh, we bought it here in Germany." They're like, "Well, you got to pay." You got to pay tax on that if you're importing that. And you're thinking, oh, well, this thing, it's worth millions. I mean, how much is this tax going to be? Tax going to be millions. They're like, oh, we do? Yeah, how much did you pay? Paid 10 marks. Okay, it's 1 mark. So they paid 1 mark, and they got to bring their MiG fighter jet DJ base into the Czech Republic and stuff. It was very cool. I mean, it was cool looking. And there's no insects around it because insects couldn't handle, techno and rave music and stuff. That was they couldn't. Only humans. Only humans are foolish enough. So.
Yeah, you were kind enough to grant me the access to all of the locked things, so we didn't need to spend time to unlock all the things, so we were able to look at all the customizations in the game.
Yeah, that was
Thanks
cool.
for that. And we saw a lot of interesting things.
I like the mustaches.
The mustaches, I mean, we have an idea about mustaches in Sabaton, and we have adjusted one band member's mustaches for various filmings, because obviously during World War I it was kind of popular or mandatory to wear mustache. And when we are doing our music videos, one of the band members who did not have one, he needed to have one. So we have, implemented that, and here you go, a whole customization of mustaches.
Yeah.
Good inspiration.
But it's nice that you've got the names up. You can have the Enver Pasha. Yeah, you can. I don't remember if there was a Budyani or not, but going through all like, oh, there's the Kaiser. Do you want the Kaiser? I don't know if I want the Kaiser. Do I want a right monocle? Monocle. I'm gonna be in right now. I don't want a monocle. Maybe a cigarette. Yeah, it's really, really cool, the customization. But tell them about the extent and the depth of it.
Yeah, first of all, of course, the inspiration for the mustaches also came from the video you made with the Great War channel way back.
Oh, the top 10 mustaches.
The top 10 mustaches.
Yeah.
Those were the first ones that we made, and they were in.
Oh, and that was cool.
And then we thought, we can add some more. And then our artist went nuts, and he made like 50.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. We have a lot of different mustaches.
And there's way more to come. And then they're all based on the historical figures that.
And the uniforms must have taken some time.
Exactly. But we all want. I mean, again, here also we double down on the history in terms of making sure that each class has the uniform that they wore historically. So, for instance, the Alpini, they wear their Alpine uniform, and only they can equip the Alpine headgear with the characteristic feather. And there's of course different variants of wearing it. So we. In history, they typically make only a handful of headgear, and that's sort of the standard issue. But then within the standard issue, you also have the ability to sort of make different variants of the same object. So you have a officer cap, for instance, or the Alpini cap, which is soft and it sort of bends in different weather conditions or how it's worn. So when you look at historical pictures, it's like, is that the same headgear I'm looking at, or is it different? Especially with the Austro-Hungarian cap, their standard sort of Veldkappe, which is this high. It's quite a high cap, and it bends and it looks different and it sort of sags, and that creates like at least 5 variants just by weather conditions.
Oh, that's really cool. Do you have like variants based on, let's say you had a Hungarian infantry guy as opposed to an Austrian infantry guy? You have like the button and stuff. Do you have things like that?
Yeah, exactly. So you need the famous FGI and
FHJ, the front. Yeah, if you're Hungarian.
Exactly.
Because it's Habsburg and Imperator if you're Austrian.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, that's there, and it's also the uniform itself is different. The Honvet early war uniform, at least before they start to simplify everything in the late war editions, had a sort of an embroidery on the upper leg.
Okay.
So that's in. And then also for the other classes, we mentioned the Arditi with their sort of, they have a Fez variant.
Okay, cool.
And also the headgear. Headgear is within the class is typically something you can. There's lots of variants of them, and also typically helmet variants. So, for instance, the Alpini have their feathered head, classic Alpino cap. But then also for the late war they have the helmet, but then with the feather.
So in the punishment expedition, they'd be using the helmet more, or?
I think, or by the 6th, they wouldn't fight on the Isonzo, so I think, but indeed by late war they would be wearing that. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I liked all the pipes and things too. Actually, I just like little touches like that. I mean, that can go either way and stuff. But it's cool. Yeah. But somebody really went to town on customization, and I know your fans from before are going to love that because they're really sticklers for detail.
Oh, absolutely. So in previous in the previous game, we had so many rights that we had the German Iron Cross. It was traditionally worn on the third button, but it was worn on the fourth button or something. So that was a major mistake according to the person who wrote us.
This game sucks. You can't believe you're wearing your Iron Cross on the fourth button.
It's that level of detail we're operating on, and I guess that's when you're on a good track. If that's the amount of detail people are willing to go into.
And if that's the amount of detail you provide, then that's great.
And that tells a little bit about the knowledge of the players as well. If they discover these kind of details and complain about them, then they're, to say the least, a little bit tough to satisfy.
But then that's good for the players who don't really know the details, who might just be getting interested in the Great War because of this, because they really like the game and they know from reading, that this is really accurate. So that's learning something unintentionally, but something you take with you and stuff. We did uniform specials in the Great War about most of the different nations' uniforms and stuff. And we'd have to have local experts in that, because there's no way that I would be able to do the special on Italian uniforms by myself. I would get crucified if I would have done it as much detail as I could have done, but the guys that spend their lives doing that know it, and those are the guys that play your game.
They also advise us in the community, and they give us feedback beforehand. Even now, this continuous process of, and I'm sure after the launch, people will still point out, that's wrong, then we'll typically fix errors like that, like if it's a button or small things we can easily adjust it.
Well, that's nice.
Cool. So for Moustaches, we actually also held a competition in the community, also based on your 10 the top 10. And then we held different rounds that were in Facebook, so they could vote.
Atkinson, Rennenkampf, Pasha, Enver Pasha, not Pasha, Enver for short. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Well, who won? You had a contest.
Rennenkampf.
Rennenkampf. Oh man, you got to see this guy. You got to look him up, man. That guy had some whiskers. Boy, he spent a lot of time on it too. Yeah, but that's interesting. So you've got the customization, massive customization. You've got the great accuracy with attention to detail with the uniforms and stuff. Now there are, if I'm not mistaken, 4 packs. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and what can people expect from the packs?
Yeah, so there's 4 packs in the game plus a pre-order temporary thing. But the 4 packs contain different units. So for instance, the Elite pack contains the Bosniak, very famous, with their red fezzes and unique short tunics, and then there's different headgear as well that really represent the elite status. And on the Italian side, it would contain, say, the Bersaglieri with the bicycle, the Bersaglieri Ciclisti.
We didn't use the bicycle troops. That's cool. Yeah. It's a nice touch. So.
It's a bit chunky, but it's a really cool visual style. And then there's also a veteran pack which contains the Sassari Brigade. It's sort of an elite unit within the Italian army. Their appearance is more scruffy and more dirty to reflect this status.
So can people pre-order these things, and if so, how? Yeah,
so we have a special pre-order pack that's for consoles. They can pre-order it. It contains 2 high-ranking officers, which one of which kind of looks like a Cadorna in a way, and that's with the classic Italian general hat. It's the rank of Major General. So, and considering there's not a lot of officers available in the field, it's not like everybody will run around with high-ranking officer uniform. So it's very, very limited. People can pre-order that. They will get it at launch. That's for console. For PC, there's a time limited. So if they play the game within the first week, they can claim the pre-order bonus.
Okay. Oh, that's really cool.
The pack also contains several moustaches, including the the ones that were winning in the competition.
All right, okay. Rennenkampf I'll have to play that too. I need that pack. I need that pack. So if you see Rennenkampf there, then it's probably me, right? Okay. One thing that I think is important about this game, and it's cool that you've chosen this in the Italian front, is the countries you can be is Italy and Austria-Hungary. And a lot of people, when they think of the First World War, do not think of Italy and Austria-Hungary. People tend, particularly in Western Europe and over in the States, they think of America, Britain, France, Germany, maybe Russia. They don't think of the Ottomans. They don't think of the Bulgarians, Romanians, Austro-Hungarian, and Italians. But these are, of course, major players in the war. And it's nice to have a focus on just these two to bring back to people that it was a world war with great. I mean, look, 4 empires ceased to exist because of this war. That's 4 mighty empires. That's pretty impressive. So I think it's very cool that you covered it just for that reason.
So when did this game come out, and where do people get it?
Yeah,
where
so
do they play it? Yeah.
Yeah, actually quite soon already. September 13th of 2022. It will come out on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5.
Okay, cool.
All together in one.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That'll be fun. This is really fun. I love sitting and talking about, well, either of the world wars, but this one specifically, especially because this has tied the 3 of us together. So we'll obviously have to do some more work in future together, right?
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. I think, yeah,
I like he's like, "Rah."
Well, it's a little bit up to those people as well,
That's
watching
true.
it.
It is up to them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're definitely doing a great job, and I think the same. I mean, we share sort of. I mean, if anything comes or anything has become clear from our talks, I mean, we share a sort of passion and to bring obscure history and history in general to an audience.
And for the remembrance of it. I mean, it's easier to map your future when you know your past. That's just the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, and for Isonzo, I hope that we can really deliver on giving people the experience and view of the Italian front in a respectful and accurate manner.
Well, I'm excited to see the reviews and to see how it sells. Because my review is that it was really fun and really nicely detailed and in depth. And the gameplay was really fun too. And that, of course, is pretty important for a video game. You know.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the gameplay has to be fun because it's the base of everything, you know. And yeah, it would be like we make a great story, but we make a shitty song. It's like it wouldn't help the cause at all.
No, it wouldn't at all. But this was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to do Punishment. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Punishment Expedition. I'm looking forward to that. So. Yeah,
thank you for being with or setting this up in your warehouse
here in lovely Falun.
In the Sabaton History Channel headquarters.
Yeah, Sabaton History Channel headquarters. Well, you came up to Sweden to do this and stuff, and we were filming yesterday, so it all worked out together. Well, no, it's great to be here, but I guess I'll see you next time on Sabaton History, Time Ghost History, and World War II in real time.
I see you next time on the stage somewhere.
And I hope to see you in the game.
So thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day. And
enjoy the game. It's fun.
Thanks, guys.